Okay, now this probably should have been my first video, but I just wanted to talk about um, her overall routine and what I see works best with her. Um, I've always said Rook is not your typical child with autism because um, typically when you work with these children, you really have to chunk things down and really simplify and just get straight to the point. And my problem is I can get very wordy, and what I've noticed is that the way I communicate with Rook is very natural. It's not scripted, especially when we're addressing behaviors or when we're discussing expectations. Okay, even personal stuff. Sorry, I can see my head's crooked. So basically, Rook strives on routine. If you allow her to, well, what I've noticed is that if I allow her to have a little bit of wiggle room, she's gonna take it. She's gonna go with it. You're not ready. Other things are preoccupying you. Hey, I love the free time. And but if she knows what your expectations are and you're very rigid with it and you're consistent, she's going to hold you to it, which is perfect, and it puts me in my place and it reminds me to be there and to be present even with everything that's happening. Okay, so typically what we do is when she comes to the classroom, it's a quiet area, so we have to make sure that there's really no distractions. She can work with distractions. She's not one to get overwhelmed, close her ears about something. If it gets too loud, she'll close her ears if she doesn't want to hear something like a lecture. But noticeably when things get kind of hectic in the room, she's not one to just really be off. Her having a bad day could be that time of the month. It could be something that she didn't get in the morning. It could be a rough night. But things that happen in the classroom, whether it's, rowdy kids or just, active learning noise, that won't get to her. That doesn't bother her at all. But when we get into the classroom, it's quiet. There's a work expectation. There's an environment that's set for her to learn. And you're going to, when I utilize her reinforcers, and it's very structured. She always wants the Dora video. And we've gotten her headphones. So she'll get it from the desk and she'll put it on the desk, and the transition between her reinforcer and back to work is very easy because of the routine that she's used to. Okay, so in your particular situation, things might get a little bit challenging because of the fact that she's at home. There's different expectations, there's different reinforcers. So when you really want her at her best and to get her attention, you might have to get your highest reinforcer, because if the YouTube, the iPad is part of her normal routine, which is, the same for my kids here at home, especially now that we're quarantined, you really can't go out. That's their only really form of entertainment. If you use that for her to work for, I don't know if it's going to lose its luster, but take a look and see what her highest reinforcer is and see what she really wants. Even if it's a slice of pizza, then hover that over her and say, okay, well, if you want this, then you've got to do this. So once you've got that established and you're systematic, then shouldn't be a problem. We have her in two 45-minute blocks, okay? And within those 45-minute blocks, there are times she won't even take a break at all. I mean, that's how work-oriented she is, okay? If we're having a rough time, then I might give her her incentives a little bit in between, or if I really need to take data in between the activities without having to do a complete, drill and kill, then I won't give her anything until the end. Okay, so, and if we have a hard time going to the bathroom and she complies, then I'll reinforce her behavior for that, maybe like 2-3 minutes, and then that's it. So you can determine where you want to insert her reinforcers. In the beginning, typically when you're establishing yourself with any student, sometimes it's almost immediate. Okay, so that they're conditioned and they know, okay, I'm not just going to sit here for 45 minutes or half an hour, and however much time you're going to sit with her. I'm not, she's not going to sit there and say, okay, well, she might sit there and say, okay, what am I doing? Why am I here? And if you set that expectations for her, you say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're working for. And if she gets, one or two responses correct, you can give her the reinforcer right away, so that way she knows, what's to come, okay? It could even be, a trip to McDonald's to get her shake. So